I liked helping people find what they needed, knowing regular customers by name. Landon, on the other hand, couldn't wait to leave. He went to business school, got a job in commercial real estate, and visited maybe twice a year. Always in expensive suits, always talking about his latest deals. "You're still working retail, Dow?" He'd say every visit, like it was beneath him. "You should do something with your life. Make real money." "I like what I do," I'd tell him. "And someone needs to help Dad run the business." Our father had a stroke when I was 28. Not severe, but it slowed him down. I took over more responsibilities. Managed all 3 stores. Handled suppliers. Dealt with the books. Dad would come in a few hours a day, but mostly I ran things. Landon visited once during Dad's recovery. Stayed 2 hours. Spent most of it on his phone. For the next 6 years, I was the one who drove Dad to doctor appointments. Who made sure he took his medications. Who had dinner with him 3 times a week because Mom had passed years ago and he was lonely. I never asked for anything in return. He was my father. That's what family does. But 2 years ago, things changed. Dad's health declined. Early dementia. Some days he was sharp as ever. Other days he couldn't remember what year it was. Suddenly, Landon started visiting every weekend. Bringing groceries. Offering to help with Dad's finances. Being attentive in a way he'd never been before. "It's good you're spending time with him," I told Landon. "He's missed you." "Family is important," Landon said, putting his arm around Dad's shoulders. "I should have been here more. I'm making up for lost time." I believed him. I thought he'd finally matured. Finally realized what mattered. But Landon was about to cross a line that would cost him everything. Have you ever had a family member show you who they really are? Let me know in the comments. It started with little things. Dad mentioning that Landon had been helping him organize his paperwork. Landon asking pointed questions about the hardware store's revenue. Casual inquiries about Dad's investment accounts. Then one Saturday, I stopped by Dad's house unannounced. Found Landon at the kitchen table with a stack of legal documents. "What's all this?" I asked. Landon barely looked up. "Just helping Dad get his affairs in order. Making sure everything's organized." Dad was in his recliner, watching TV. He looked confused. "Landon says I need to sign papers. For my own good." "What kind of papers?" I picked up the top document. Power of attorney. Giving Landon complete control over Dad's finances, medical decisions, everything. "Dad's not well, Dow," Landon said, his tone patronizing. "Someone needs to make sure his assets are protected. Someone who understands finance. He's got early dementia, not late-stage Alzheimer's. He can still make his own decisions." "Can he, though? Last week he forgot what day it was. He left the stove on twice this month. He needs someone responsible managing things." "You mean you need control of his money?" Landon's expression hardened. "This is about what's best for Dad. Not everyone can afford to work retail their whole life, Dow. Some of us understand what real wealth management looks like. Get out." My voice was quiet but firm. "Take your papers and get out." "Dad, do you want me to leave?" Landon turned on the charm. "I'm just trying to help." Dad looked between us, confused and distressed. I don't want you boys fighting." "We're not fighting," Landon said soothingly. "Dalton's just protective. He doesn't understand legal matters." I wanted to throw him out physically. Instead, I called Dad's longtime attorney, Harold Vance. "Harold, can you come to Dad's house? I think we need a professional opinion on some documents Landon's trying to get him to sign." Harold arrived within an hour. Reviewed the power of attorney paperwork. His face darkened. "Walter, do you understand what this document does?" he asked gently. "Landon says it protects me," Dad said uncertainly. "It gives him complete control of your assets. He could sell your house, liquidate your investments, close the stores, all without your permission. Is that what you want?" "No," Dad said, suddenly lucid. "No, that's not what I want." Landon exploded. "You're poisoning him against me. I'm trying to help and I'm protecting my client," Harold said coldly. "And I'm advising Walter not to sign anything without my review. Now I think you should leave." After Landon left, Dad looked at me with tears in his eyes. "He wants my money. My own son just wants my money." "It's okay, Dad. We'll make sure you're protected." What Landon didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything. Every visit. Every pushy conversation about finances. Every time he tried to manipulate Dad's confusion. But that's not even the worst part. After that incident, I started paying closer attention. And I discovered Landon's manipulation went much deeper than I'd realized. Dad's longtime accountant, Pierce pulled me aside one day. "Dalton, I need to tell you something. Your brother's been calling me, trying to get information about your father's accounts. He says Walter asked him to review everything, but when I asked Walter directly, he had no idea what I was talking about." "What kind of information?" "Investment portfolios, property values, business revenue. He even asked about the process for liquidating assets quickly." Pierce's expression was grim. "Dalton, in my professional opinion, your brother is planning something. I hired a private investigator, not to follow Landon, but to review all of Dad's financial interactions from the past 2 years. What we found made my blood boil. Little did they know, I was just getting started." Landon had been systematically positioning himself as Dad's caretaker to family and friends, telling people Dad was losing his grip and that I was in denial about his condition, creating a narrative where he was the responsible son stepping up. He'd convinced 2 of Dad's poker buddies that Dad needed professional financial management. He'd told our cousin that the hardware stores were failing, and Dad was too proud to admit it. All lies. The stores were profitable. Dad had bad days, but was nowhere near incapacitated. Then I found something that changed everything. You won't believe what I discovered next. I was cleaning out Dad's home office, organizing paperwork, when I found a folder labeled Landon Important. Inside were letters, dozens of them. Letters Landon had written to Dad over the years, but never sent. Practice letters, maybe? Drafts? They told a story. Years of resentment. Anger that I'd gotten the easy life, working at the stores while he had to slave away in the real world. Bitterness that Dad favored the simple one over the successful one. The most recent one, dated 6 months ago. "Dad, by the time you read this, I'll have control of everything. The stores will be sold, the investments liquidated, and I'll finally have what I deserve. You gave Dalton the comfortable life. You gave him the business you built. What did you give me? Nothing but expectations. So I'm taking what should have been mine from the start." He'd been planning this for years, waiting for Dad to decline enough that he could swoop in and claim everything. By the time I was done investigating, I had enough to prove Landon's manipulation, his lies to family and friends, and his explicit intention to steal Dad's assets. But that wasn't enough. I wanted him to face consequences in front of everyone he'd lied to. What would you have done at this point? Justice or mercy? Comment below. I took everything to Harold Vance. The letters, the investigator's report, Pierce's testimony about Landon's fishing for financial information, the power of attorney documents. "This is elder abuse," Harold said bluntly. "Financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. I could report this to Adult Protective Services." "I want something more permanent," I said. "I want Dad's will ironclad. I want Landon legally blocked from challenging it. And I want him to know exactly why he's getting nothing." Harold smiled grimly. "I can do that. But we need to act while Walter is still competent enough to make these decisions clearly." We scheduled a meeting at Harold's office. Dad, me, Harold, and a doctor who'd evaluated Dad's mental capacity. The doctor confirmed Dad had early dementia but was still legally competent to make decisions about his estate. This is where it gets really good. Dad rewrote his will with complete clarity. Everything to me. The house, the 3 stores, the investment portfolio worth about $800,000. To Landon, $1, with a clause explaining exactly why. But Harold added something brilliant. A no-contest clause so strict that if Landon challenged the will in any way, he'd have to pay my legal fees. And we included a videotaped statement from Dad explaining his reasoning. "Landon," Dad said into the camera, his voice steady and clear, "you tried to take advantage of my confusion. You tried to manipulate me into signing over control of everything I built. Harold has shown me the letters you wrote. I know what you planned. A son who would do that doesn't deserve the fruits of my life's work. Dalton has been here. Dalton has cared for me. Dalton earned this, not through manipulation, but through love. You get $1 in this message. Greed destroys families. I hope you learn that before it destroys you." We filed everything, made it airtight, bulletproof. Then we waited. They thought they were dealing with the simple brother who just worked retail. They were about to learn they had messed with someone who protects what matters and doesn't play games when family is threatened. Dad passed away on a Tuesday morning. Peaceful, at home, with me holding his hand. I called Landon. "Dad's gone. I'll be there tomorrow," he said. I detected something in his voice. Not grief. Anticipation. He arrived the next day in his Mercedes, wearing an expensive black suit. Gave me a brief hug that felt performative. "I'll handle the arrangements," he announced. "You've done enough, Dal. Let me take care of the business side of things. Harold's handling Dad's estate." "Of course, but I should review the will first. Make sure everything's in order. I have experience with estate planning." The will reading is Friday. At Harold's office. 2 p.m. Something flickered across Landon's face. Irritation, maybe. That's fast. Usually these things take. Dad was very organized. Everything's ready. Friday came. Harold's conference room. Just the three of us. Me, Landon, and Harold. Landon sat confidently, almost relaxed. He'd spent the last 3 days calling family members, telling them he'd be managing Walter's legacy. He'd already contacted a commercial real estate agent about selling the stores. Harold opened the file. "Let me begin with the disposition of Walter Ashford's estate." Landon leaned forward slightly, ready to hear his fortune. "To my son Landon Ashford, I leave $1, and the understanding that greed destroys families." The silence was deafening. Landon's expression went from confident to confused to shocked in about 3 seconds. "What? No, there's a mistake. Read it again." Harold continued reading, his voice steady and professional. "To my son Dalton Ashford, who has been my companion, my support, and my true partner in the business I built, I leave my home at 447 Maple Street, all 3 Ashford hardware locations, and my complete investment portfolio, currently valued at approximately $800,000. "That's impossible." Landon stood up. "I'm the successful one. I'm the one Dad was proud of. There's no way he would." "Your father was very clear about his intentions," Harold said. "In fact, he recorded a video statement explaining his reasoning. Would you like to see it?" "Yes. Show me." Harold turned on the monitor. Dad's face appeared, seated in this same office, looking directly into the camera. Landon watched his father's statement. Every word, every accusation, every reference to the letters he'd written, the manipulation he'd attempted, the greed that had driven him. By the end, Landon was pale. He read my letters?" "Every single one," I said quietly, "including the one where you bragged about planning to sell everything and keep the money for yourself. Those were private. You went through Dad's things." "Dad kept them," Harold interjected. "He showed them to me when we revised his will. He wanted me to understand why he was making this choice. But the best part was yet to come." Harold pulled out another document. "The will includes a no-contest clause. If you challenge this in court, you'll be responsible for all legal fees on both sides. Given your financial situation, and yes, Walter was aware you're over-leveraged with 3 rental properties and significant personal debt, I wouldn't recommend that path." Landon's face went from pale to red. "How do you know about my finances?" "Your father hired an investigator after you tried to get him to sign that power of attorney. We know everything, Landon. The debt, the failed real estate deals, the reason you needed Walter's money so desperately." Landon turned to me. "You did this. You poisoned him against me." "No," I said calmly. "You did this. Every lie you told, every manipulation, every letter you wrote about how you deserved his money more than I did. You destroyed your own relationship with Dad. This isn't over." "Yes, it is," Harold said. "The will is filed. The estate is settled. You can accept the $1, or you can challenge it and end up owing significant legal fees you can't afford. Your choice." Landon stood there, shaking with rage and shock. Then he grabbed his briefcase and stormed out. He didn't say goodbye, didn't attend Dad's funeral, just disappeared. The family found out quickly. Our cousin called me that night. "Is it true? Did Walter really leave Landon only $1? "Yes." "Why?" "Because Landon tried to exploit Dad's dementia to steal his assets. Dad knew everything. Word spread fast in our small town. By the funeral, everyone knew. The successful brother who'd tried to rob his own dying father. The retail son who'd actually been there. Landon's reputation was destroyed overnight. 3 weeks after the will reading, Landon showed up at Ashford Hardware. I was at the flagship store, working the register. He looked terrible. Unshaven. Wrinkled clothes. The arrogance was gone. "Can we talk?" I took him to the back office. We sat in silence for a moment. "I'm broke," he finally said. "The rental properties are in foreclosure. I was counting on Dad's money to save them. I'm going to lose everything." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you?" His voice was bitter. "You got everything. The stores, the house, the money. Must feel good to win." This wasn't about winning, Landon. This was about Dad protecting what he built from someone who only saw dollar signs. I'm your brother. Doesn't that mean anything? You stopped being my brother when you tried to manipulate our dying father into signing over his life's work. Family doesn't do that. I made a mistake. I was desperate. You needed money more than you needed integrity, more than you needed Dad's respect, more than you needed your brother's trust. You made your choices. Now you live with them. He stood up, hands shaking. So that's it. I just lose everything while you sit here in your comfortable little store. You didn't lose everything, Landon. You threw it away. There's a difference. I hope you're happy. I'm not happy. I'm sad. Sad that my brother became someone who'd exploit his own father. Sad that greed matters more to you than family. But I'm at peace with Dad's decision. He knew who was really there for him. Landon left. I watched him drive away in that Mercedes he couldn't afford anymore. 2 months later, I got a letter from him. Short, bitter, blaming me for his financial ruin, claiming I'd manipulated Dad against him. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. 6 months after that, I heard he'd moved to another state. Started over with some entry-level sales job. His real estate career was finished. His reputation was destroyed. The successful brother had become a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, I kept running Ashford Hardware. All 3 stores. Honored Dad's legacy by treating customers right and employees fairly. Used some of the investment money to update inventory systems and expand our tool selection. The business thrived. The community supported us. And every day I walked into that flagship store, I remembered why Dad trusted me with his legacy. Not because I was perfect, but because I'd been there. Because I cared more about him than his money. Justice was served, and karma had the final word. Landon never rebuilt his relationship with our family. The last I heard, he was working in insurance sales in Tennessee. No more Mercedes. No more expensive suits. Just the consequences of his choices. Ashford Hardware just celebrated its 45th anniversary. We're expanding to a 4th location next year. The business Dad built is thriving under my management, just like he knew it would. The lesson? Greed doesn't just destroy relationships. It destroys the greedy person. My brother had a chance to be part of something meaningful. Instead, he chose manipulation and lost everything that mattered. Family is about more than blood. It's about showing up. It's about caring more about people than their assets. Landon forgot that. And he paid the ultimate price. Not just losing an inheritance, but losing his family forever. If you enjoyed seeing a greedy sibling get exactly what he deserved, you'll love my next story about the cousin who tried to steal. Subscribe.